Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar entitled The Future of Trailer Management Technology, an Inside Look. Today we're featuring Jason Pinkathman and Dan Depler, sponsored by FleetLocate from Spireon. I'm Ronnie Taylor from Spireon, and I'll be the moderator for today's session. So our agenda today is 45 minutes for our featured experts to discuss trailer telematics in the market, and then we'll spend 15 minutes on questions at the end. But first, just a couple of housekeeping items. We want to encourage you to ask questions. So in the black control bar, which appears either at the top or the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A icon. So to ask questions, you simply click on the icon and then type in your question into the pop-up question box. And then at the end of the webinar, we'll take about 15 minutes to answer your questions. And if we get questions that we don't have time for, we will make sure to email out the answers to you. So now let me introduce myself and our speakers. I'm Ronnie Taylor, VP of Strategy and Business Development here at Spireon. I have about 25 years of experience in marketing and product management. And my career has taken me to a number of telematics providers in our industry. And what I've done is help them establish their product roadmaps and increase their customer reach. I've been with Spireon over 6 years, and I joined back in 2011 to launch the trailer telematics segment. I'm happy to have that we have Dan Depler, Vice President of Maintenance at Paper Transport, with us today. He's a Spireon customer. And Dan has worked in the transportation industry for the past 15 years in various positions, such as Senior Financial Manager, Controller, and now Vice President of Maintenance at Paper Transport. They're located in De Pere, Wisconsin, which is right outside of Green Bay. And then we have Jason Pinkathman, who we call JP because it's a lot easier. And he's Spireon's Chief Product Officer. He brings extensive experience in telematics, mobile and cloud-based product technologies to Spireon and all of our customers. Prior to joining Spireon, he played a central role at Telligis in expanding connected vehicle product initiatives with all the leading OEM companies. And that's a big part of his job here at Spireon. So I'm excited to have these transportation and technology experts with me today to share our insight on what we're seeing in the industry and in the trailer management technology segment in particular. So let's dive right in. So we thought we would start out by just talking a little bit about some of the challenges that we're facing in our industry to really set the stage. So as all of you know, we continue to struggle with driver shortage. And ATA says the driver shortage is up to about 50,000 right now, and it will increase up to about 175,000 drivers in 2026. And another statistic, which I think is really interesting, is that we're seeing an ever-growing shortage of diesel technicians as well, and it's reported now that that's up to about 30,000. Trucker.com recently reported that Ryder has about 5,900 technicians in North America, and they have openings on any given day for 150 to 200 technicians. And Penske Truck Leasing said that they have about 9,000 maintenance employees in North America, and they're expecting to hire an additional 2,000 in 2018. And that's really going to depend on if they can find them or not. Another, I think, interesting thing that we're seeing in the industry is the tightening of capacity. And ACT Research reported last month that its for-hire trucking index rose faster than the capacity index in each of the last 12 months, allowing the supply-demand balance to climb to the highest reading this index has ever recorded. They also said that the large spread between freight and capacity additions bodes well for continued strength in the freight rates throughout 2018. Clearly, truckers entered 2018 in the best negotiating position in many ways, according to ACT. So if we think about what's really driving this tight capacity, we know it's not just the economy. We think it's a combination of the economy, but also the driver shortage, as well as, the regulations like the ELD mandate. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the industry course corrects throughout the rest of 2018. But the tight capacity is also driving an increased desire for better trailer utilization. And I believe this is driving carriers to consider trailer telematics more than ever before. I've been in this trailer management segment since 2003, and the adoption rate today is at an all-time high. And there's the expansion of the e-commerce players like Amazon, and more shippers are requiring tracking. That's all contributed to this increase in adoption as well. But as fleets continue to get more sophisticated, they're also looking for more data around all of their equipment, and that also includes the trailers. A few weeks ago, Dan and I were at the ATA TMC meeting, and we heard more about smart trailers than we've ever heard in the past. Many of the trailer OEMs and harness manufacturers are launching their own solution, and there's more buzz about trailer management than ever before. We'll hear a bit more about that over the next 30 minutes as we talk about it with Dan and with JP. I think now, let me turn to my questions that I have for Dan. So Dan, why don't you tell us a little bit more about paper transport? I talked about where you were headquartered, but tell us a little bit about, the profile of your company.
Great, thanks. Yeah, definitely. We are, as you said, we're based out of De Pere, Wisconsin, which is right outside of Green Bay. We're a full truckload provider. We've got operations throughout the United States. Most of that concentration is in the Midwest and the Southeast. And from a service offering standpoint, we're a typical regional one-way truckload provider. We do dedicated. In addition to that, we do intermodal and brokerage as well too.
Okay, great. We talked a little bit, about the industry challenges. What are some of the challenges that paper transport is seeing?
I think it's exactly what you said, and it's really the driver challenge is the biggest concern. And I think any fleet would say that right now. It's just about finding enough qualified drivers. At PTI, we feel we have a really good home for the drivers. For our drivers that have been with us for more than 2 years, our turnover rate is less than 20%. So we're excited about what we have to offer for drivers. For us, the issue is really just getting that word out, and trying to find an ever shrinking pool of drivers.
Yeah, boy, that's what we hear across the board. So one of the things that we know about PTI is that you're known for your technologically progressive nature. Many fleets see technology as a cost center, but why have you chosen to be an early adopter of technology?
I guess hearing it put that way, it's truly rewarding to hear that is, how people view us in the industry. Ironically, the culture of PTI and our mission and values doesn't mention anything about technology, believe it or not. Specifically, we have 2 values, and it's safety and people. However, technology for us, it's just a means to support people, whether it's customers or supporting our drivers. And all of the technology that we build and any of that image that we have out in the industry, it's solely to support each of those. So it's, like I said, it's rewarding to hear that. it is somewhat ironic that it's kind of not what we set out to be, but we do continuously look for ways, unique ways to support our drivers and our customers. You know, we were very early on e-logs, and we've since put tablets in the trucks that gives us the ability to connect with a workforce that is remote. That's always been one of our company frustrations, is that we have this large workforce we don't get to see on a daily basis. And so we were early to put tablets so that we could just deliver a better in-cab experience for our drivers. It allows them to have navigation. We have driver scorecard app that we push out to them. We're actively pushing smart ETAs out to our drivers and our customers. We've got the ability for our drivers to crowdsource some of the notes they have around shippers and consignees and push that information back to the other drivers. So what we're really trying to do is just create this community feel for a workforce that is remote.
Well, that's really impressive, Dan. That is really impressive. When you partnered with Spireon on the trailer telematics, what problems were you hoping to solve?
Originally, when we looked at trailer track solutions, it was simply stated just to solve the issue of locating our assets out in the field. Quickly as we got into it, we did decide to go down the cargo sensing path, because we felt like that just gave us enough greater awareness of what available equipment was out there for our drivers. Because, you know, tying this back to the driver issue, one of the single biggest frustrations for a driver is trying to find an empty. And so just knowing where the trailer we didn't feel like going to be enough. We wanted to know the status of that trailer as well too, and it gives us the ability to push that right out to the driver.
Yeah, it all comes back to the driver. Anything you can do, and I suspect knowing the location of the trailer for the driver, is the actual location is a big benefit. So how has trailer tracking made an impact on your fleet and your drivers going forward?
You know, we are still in the integration phase of it, so we have more work to come as far as what we do. But the immediate benefit was really in that locating where that empty was right away. As a fleet, that allows us to really run more efficiently, run with fewer assets. We can also start to understand how our customers are utilizing our equipment, and tie that back to you know, the loads that they give us, and keeping that asset fluid out there in our network.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's all about the visibility of the trailer. You know, it's knowing where it is and who's doing what with it, and when it moves and when it's unloaded. And so that's a great picture of where your trailer technology stands today. Where do you see it heading in the future?
Automation for us, pushing some of those status updates right back into our TMS, so that our people in the back office can stay in the system that they're typically in throughout the day, and not have to bounce out to multiple systems. So we'll continue to integrate that. Integrating our in-route empty selection so that we can reduce some bobtail miles. That will be a big piece for us as well. We've got some work underway on geofencing alerts for equipment that has been tagged out for maintenance reasons. So if it gets tagged out or that we know needs work, we want to be able to geofence that and get alerted when that pops into a repair facility or near a repair facility. So we've got some work underway on that. And as always, just producing dwell reports to customers to help enhance that box velocity. That's something that we'll always be working on.
Okay, great. Yeah, we're big proponents of integration. If you can keep a a dispatcher or a CSR in their normal screens and provide that the real-time trailer location right into the TMS system, that we're all for that for sure. You know, when we saw each other at TMC a couple of weeks ago, you know, we talked about all the buzz around the smart trailers and what we were seeing on the trade show floor. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was actually really fun to see what some of the tier one suppliers are working on, you know, to the different trailer OEMs. You know, we saw some information from TPMS systems, from lighting systems, braking systems. So I was really encouraged with what I saw, and somewhat surprised that some of the industry players were going down this path. But it was very encouraging. There are some, you know, as I see it, probably some challenges out there to having a fully, call it a smart trailer. You know, the single biggest challenge are 10 to 15 year assets. So from a fleet standpoint, it takes a while to get that benefit into the fleet. Regardless, I think it's still an exciting time to see what data is going to be available from some of the different subcomponents that are on a trailer. And I think if you had asked, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, the concept of a smart trailer, I don't think it was really on people's radar very much.
Yeah, I can remember back to 2003 when I started in this space, and having one location ping per day or 2 location pings per day from a trailer was like great. It was fantastic. It was like, oh my gosh, I know where this trailer is, sort of. But now, yeah, what you're saying is so true. It's the outlook for what we're going to be able to do with all of this data, I think is going to be just a game changer for the industry. So thanks, Dan, for that feedback. Now let me move over to JP. So JP, how has this and the feedback that you get regularly from other Spireon customers and from the industry influenced your product roadmap?
Okay, yeah, thanks, Ronnie, and hello, everyone. You know, it's actually great having customers like Dan and Paper Transport. It's as we just heard, right? He had terrific comments on the challenges that he's facing for his business and what's important to him. I mean, telematics is so much more than just tracking assets in the field. It's knowing the status of the trailer, not just where it is, and of course providing better solutions for the driver. So, you know, like Dan, our customers are certainly our partners when it comes to influencing the product roadmap. I mean, in addition to monitoring all the market trends and the competition and advances in technology, we're also constantly looking for ways to help our customers run their businesses more efficiently. And so we do that in a number of ways. So first of all, we periodically host what's called a customer advisory board. And there we facilitate discussions with our customers on topics that affect their business. And often that translates into how we end up prioritizing what's in the roadmap, or we consider new or enhanced features for that roadmap too. And then on the requirement side, we regularly seek input from our customers on how they would like features implemented. So we have our engineers and our user experience designers talk one-on-one with customers who are using the product on a day-to-day basis and get their feedback, and then make sure that we're taking their perspectives into consideration in our design. So once we have this roadmap, we share it. We share it with our customers to let them know what we're working on, because we know that they also need to plan around that for their implementation and get the benefits of the features that we're deploying. And then behind the scenes, and you know, our customers don't see this, but this is what I also care about, we run an agile development process. And for those of you who don't know about agile development, basically means you don't have to wait months and months for a feature to get developed. We run a 2-week sprint, they call it a sprint, a 2-week sprint, so that features can be built and released iteratively. Large projects are broken up over multiple sprints, and it's a more effective way for customers to get the benefits rather than a traditional waterfall development model where you wait 6 months for something and it's large. So this iterative approach helps, and we work with our customers on that prioritization. And then towards the end of this product development phase, we like to include our customers in alpha and beta product testing, and this gives all of our customers a chance to preview what's coming up and provide feedback. You don't have to sign up to the program. We make it optional, of course. But this makes sure that we're solving the right problems for our customers before we make a product generally available. But overall, though, I think if I was to summarize, what most customers like Dan are looking for, I think it's flexibility and capability that will match their business needs. And that's our goal too. And I think that's true whether you're a for-hire carrier, a private fleet, or if you manage a fleet of intermodal chassis, for example.
Great, GP, thanks. So, one of the things that we hear everywhere now is data, 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 and we hear a lot about analytics. So what role does data and analytics play in the future of trailer management?
Yes, those terms do get used a lot, and they can mean different things to different people, but we view the hardware that's in the trailer as the enabler of all that data. And while it's super important to be able to capture all this real-time status, the value, of course, for our customers is what we do with that data. And analytics, is a very generic term for really the ability to process all that data coming in from hundreds of thousands of trailers. And what we're really talking about here is how we filter out those events and what's relevant to each business, getting that information to the right person or the right tools that need that information. And of course, they need it at the right time in order to take the right kind of actions. And that's what I think we should be all driving towards when we talk about analytics. So in practice, this means knowing things like knowing the number of turns per trailer at a landmark, for example, various landmarks, and then benchmarking how long your trailers are sitting idle at customer locations versus what our entire population of trailers are doing at that same landmark. So that benchmarking data can really help out. It's important to know, I think, are your trailers being detained longer than the industry average? And that's a question the data can answer for you if you have the right analytics in place. And you can also understand detention management and overall utilization with that data. Now, alternatively, in the case of analytics, you might not want to receive all that data in terms of reports and dashboards. Other ways to get it is through our API. And so your own in-house analysts can interpret and manage that data. Now, we can do that ourselves. Here at Spireon, we automate that analysis and provide that insight directly to your operational teams from our platform. But the goal here is that we want the data to be actionable. And we want to enable your staff, of course, to improve your operational efficiency. And we're a major proponent of TMS integration, and that will enable your staff to handle the day-to-day management of the trailers using the same screens that they already spend their time using during the day as well. So it just keeps it integrated.
Okay, great. Yeah, as I said before, we're a big proponent of integration. But some of our customers choose to use the user interface to augment, their TMS. So how does our user interface make it possible to manage their trailers?
Yeah, so that's a really good point. So the underlying technology is very advanced, and you can use our APIs, but we also like to make it easy for you. So really, that's done through the effective use of dashboards and alerts and reports. So each of them have their own purpose, and they need to be used in the right way. So dashboards, for example, are great for showing trends, the key metrics, such as trailer utilization. And then it's important to be able to drill down through those dashboards to see if there's a pattern. You want to be able to drill down through dashboards. So you can look at a particular group of assets or an asset location to see where issues might exist. And then with reports, you really want to extract the data that you're particularly interested in. And you can either view it manually and sort it and rank it, or you can upload it directly into another system that can use that data. For example, we could sort and rank the trailers with the most maintenance issues over a period of time. And then finally, with alerts, this is how we make it easy to act upon what's happening with a fleet or trailer in real time. I mean, reports by definition are a historical view of the data, so we rely on alerts for any real-time notification. So for example, if a trailer is being tampered with, we want to know about that right away, not read it in a report, tomorrow or a week later. So the key here, I think, is to set up the right kind of reporting and alerting for a fleet to automate how we want to act on what's relevant to each business and remove that complexity.
Got it. Got it. Okay, so for Spireon, how will our device technology lead the way into the whole smart trailer segment?
Yeah, it's interesting listening to Dan, and I agree with that there's a lot of complexity. And so the way that we've chosen to address this is, from a roadmap perspective, is to focus on a modular architecture. And when I say modular, it's not just the ability to interface with a variety of sensors. I'm talking about the actual tracking hardware itself, the actual GPS tracker. So we've gone with a modular approach so that our partners can leverage our communications modem and our GPS module and other components within the GPS tracker, because we have almost 4 million telematics devices in the market today reporting into our platform. And so we have a lot of leverage with the hardware component providers and the cellular providers, and we're experts at managing and servicing telematics. So having a modular architecture helps us get that scale and reducing the cost and the complexity and also serviceability of those modules. Now for smart trailers, with this approach, we have the ability to connect into all of the solutions from the trailer OEMs, the harness manufacturers who have already integrated with the sensors, or we can integrate with our own proprietary sensors. We're about to release a new cargo sensor, and that would be one example of our own sensors. I mean, telematics is our core business for sure, and the feedback that we're hearing from our customers is that for smart trailers, they want they want Spireon to be the central communications platform that integrates into other systems if needed.
Okay, great. So you talked about the modular hardware. So how does that work if I'm a fleet that has a mix of trailer types? So I've got dry vans and I've got flatbeds and I've got some reefers. How do you provide the right solution for all those different types of trailers?
Yeah, so that's actually the thinking behind the design of the FL Flex product, which we launched recently, because that's perfect for all trailer types. And that was, its intent, to be adapted to meet the various needs, whether it be a flatbed or a dry van, a reefer, a tanker, or a chassis. So we have a different, configurations and variety of sensors that would suit each of those applications. But I also think that by having just one single device that can support a mixed fleet of trailer types actually gives our customers a huge advantage, improving the installation process, managing the devices remotely because they're, by all intents and purposes, the same electrically. So you could add a single or a dual component, compartment temperature probe for temperature monitoring. You could add a solar panel, a door and cargo sensor for a dry van, a solar panel for a chassis or flatbed. All of this integrates into the FL Flex. So I really think that this product probably provides the most options and flexibility.
Okay, and this one is, the FL Flex is what you described earlier as the modular solution that, could be used by the OEMs or could be used by the harness manufacturers to plug in for the communications platform. Got it. And
right.
It's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Great. So it's interesting. One of our customers, and they've been a customer since I think 2012, is Premier Trailer Leasing, and they're one of the largest trailer leasing providers in the country, and they've outfitted their entire fleet, and it continues to grow. It's over 35,000 trailers now with FleetLocate devices, and You know, they're just starting to roll out the Flex. They actually started to roll it out in December to all of their new trailer builds. So we're installing at all the major trailer OEMs this year on about 6,000 trailers. But you know, some of the challenges that they had is really understanding how they needed a provider actually that was going to be flexible enough so that if they have a customer that is requiring, you know, trailer location updates every minute instead of every 10 minutes, they needed to be able to provide that. So our FL Flex gives them the ability for us to change that reporting frequency, whether they need it every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes, every minute. And I think in the not too distant future, we're going to be doing it even more quickly than that. But as you guys can imagine, like with a leasing company, they do have battery challenges, and so the addition of a solar panel was just the right thing for them because, you know, they have at certain times of the year they do have trailers that are sitting in the yards for longer periods of time. But another challenge that they had before they joined Spireon was, you know, having to add hubodometers to their trailers to get real accurate GPS mileage. And so with our tracking devices, we're sampling GPS every second. So we're giving them actual GPS mileage as opposed to estimated it. So this has been a really good fit for Premier, and they've just actually re-signed an extended contract with us, which was exciting. Well, I think this concludes the presentation. But before we start taking some of your questions, would like to invite all of you to join our next webinar, which is also another big word that's getting a lot of attention. So our next webinar is Blockchain and Fleet Management, Revolution or Riot. And this is going to be presented by Craig Fuller, who's the Managing Director of the Blockchain in Transport Alliance, or BITA. And we'll send you a link in the follow-up email after this program. So let's move to the questions. So JP, it looks like one has come through for you. It says, all this data, is that just for fancy reports? What's a practical application of smart trailer data?
Okay, well, reports need to be able to provide information that can have an impact. So scheduling preventative maintenance based on actual mileage, I think, is a huge advantage. We can integrate our mileage report data into maintenance software like TMW, TMT to be able to get that done seamlessly. Another example is managing trailer utilization. And these reports let you rebalance the trailer use to make sure that you're using all of your trailers and that your drivers are not just picking up the new, prettiest trailer. You know, we actually had one private fleet customer who was able to find out that 10% of the trailers he had at one distribution center had never moved in 3 months. You know, so when they added our trailer tracking and reporting, they were able to improve the turns per trailer also by 11% in that same distribution center. And just one other example for you, since I'm thinking about it, is we could ingest CSA violation data into the platform too, and we can correlate that data to the actual trailer use and maintenance to identify the trailers that are causing most of the problems. So there are many applications for reporting out key elements of the data.
Okay, great. Now we've got one for Dan. He talks a lot about drivers. So this one is coming in about, let's see, driver recruiting and retention is a big concern at our fleet. How can these technologies help me retain the best talent?
Yeah, how we look at that is is simply reducing any kind of driver frustration that's out there. And as I alluded to earlier, when a driver has to search 20, 30 minutes for an empty, and then finds out that that empty is no longer at that location or is really not empty and has to add another 20 or 30 minutes, that's when that frustration level gets really high, and they're likely to go find other places to work. And sometimes that can be just the last thing that they're fed up with. So for us, it's really about reducing driver frustration at any chance we can get.
Got it. That makes sense. And this is a follow-up question, I think maybe from the same person. Dan, for you, have you found improvements in driver safety with this technology? I guess with this trailer telematics technology.
You know, I can't say necessarily on safety, just because safety is such a hard thing to pin down transactionally of anything you do. I stated earlier, we have two core statements, and it's about safety and about people. So I feel like everything we do is somewhat related to safety. It's tough from a tracking technology to pin that on safety. There are definitely things we do with our equipment that we think have an effect on safety, but not from a trailer tracks standpoint necessarily.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great. Now, JP, for you, and this is around, trailer security. And I know people have asked about this for years. How can I keep my trailer telematics device from being tampered with? So what kinds of, does Spireon have solutions that can help with that?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of money at risk, and you want to know about these kinds of issues when it concerns the security of an asset. So obviously it's a time-sensitive issue, but I think that first of all, mounting the device covertly in a location that reduces the risk of tampering in the first place, I think that's an obvious thing to do. And the FL Flex is small enough to be hidden away like that. Once installed, we have an accelerometer already built into the hardware, and we have intelligent filtering in our platform, so we can see if a device is being removed based on that data. So if it's being tilted at all or removed, we will know about it, and our customers will know about it. And then in addition to that, we have an additional tamper wire in the wiring harness that connects to the 7-way, so we know when that's been compromised. And so I think overall with these methods, it reduces risk significantly.
Okay, got it. Got it. Yeah, and when you say covert, in many cases, you're talking about being installed underneath the trailer, whether it be a dry van, a flatbed, or a chassis, right?
That's right, yeah. And then there are different locations depending on the type of trailer. Okay.
Okay. And this is actually one question that I think I can answer, and that is, does Spireon support third-party integrations, APIs? So Spireon does. We have very well-documented APIs. We also have all the major integrations completed with all of the TMS providers. So whether you're looking to go with somebody with add-on systems, with anything related to TMW, anything related to McLeod, or if you're looking to pull our data directly into your backend through our API, that's very seamless integrations. And our customers are all doing a variety of those. And as Dan mentioned, they're working on their integration right now. So Dan, here's a question for you. You are the expert in acquiring trailer tracking telematics. So I've got somebody here that's asking for advice on what's the process that you go through to find a technology partner?
Yeah, it probably all starts at some basic level with a Google search, but from there, it's pretty quick to see who the relevant players are in this space, and there's only a few. What really cemented the decision for us was something that JP talked about, which was the flexibility. And just recently, we talked about the well-documented APIs out there. That was a critical decision point for us, because the value again is in our integration, and we wanted to partner with a company that built their technology stack with that in mind, and that's really what drove the decision for us. I mentioned we are in that integration phase right now. That's been somewhat aided by the fact that the UI isn't really strong UI as well. So we haven't had to just march really fast down this integration path, because people can be out there and using the UI right now. And like any fleet, we have a smaller IT group than we would like to have. There's always more projects than there is time, and so we can push off some of that integration because the UI is so strong. But really, it's that API and integration is what became most important for us.
Got it. Okay, great. Thank you. So one more question that just came through, which I think I can answer. You mentioned a refrigerated solution. Are you FSMA compliant? And yes, we are FSMA compliant. We give you all of the chain of custody reports that you need. We have a one-way refrigerated solution, so we're monitoring temperature, whether it's a single compartment or dual compartment. And so, as you can imagine, it's a less expensive solution than the big two-way solutions that are out there today. But it is FSMA compliant, and you get all the reporting that you need for your compliance. Well, I think we're at about our time. So, I think we heard lots of interesting information today, and I think that 2018 is going to be a really positive year for the transportation industry, and we're all certainly looking forward to that. So, let me thank you, Dan and JP, for sharing all this great information with us today, and thanks to all of our great attendees and good questions. We were happy to have you with us today, and you'll receive an email at the email address you used to register within 24 hours, which will include a link to the recording of today's session, so you can pass it on to others. So this concludes today's presentation. Thank you all for joining us.